Black and brown bodies to imagine the future is revolutionary. Oh, it's a panic attack. I can't breathe. I don't belong here. I can't do this. I'm not like them. Okay, breathe. Calm down. Okay, sorry. I'm surrounded by people who look just like me, who have stories just like mine, whose parents have stories just like mine, but in this moment, I can't. I'm not Hispanic, I'm white. I thought I was navigating the in-between okay. Ni de aquí, ni de allá. I grew up hearing that. Many Latino kids grow up with that. But for me, no. I was de aquí, and I was de allá. I was American, and I was Mexicana Colombiana. I was a strong Hispanic woman, proud of my heritage, proud of my parents, proud of who I was. Until that day, when I realized that deep down inside, I really wasn't. I really was a coconut. Until I'm 28 years old and I'm having a panic attack at a mercado and my whole world comes crashing down on me. I felt ashamed, lost, fragmented. I felt ni de aquí, ni de allá. It means you don't belong. You are alien. So I started asking questions, looking back at myself, at my life. Ay, no seas India, Indian, India. Always spit out in that way. I knew it was an insult, that it was what I was not supposed to be. Barbie and then media and entertainment taught me what I was supposed to be. So I lightened my hair, hated my brown eyes, starved myself. My parents told me to be better, so I tried not to be them. Ashamed of my accent, ashamed of my skin. I saw how this country treated them, like aliens who didn't belong. And my textbooks, we all know that didn't help. I was invisible. I didn't exist. I saw no reflections of myself. Looking out at the world, I started to understand how the portrayal of Black and brown bodies affects young Black and brown bodies. I started to understand how I felt about myself, my fear of being pigeonholed as a Hispanic director, as one professor told me. I started to understand how and why I learned all about Shakespeare, Eugene O'Neill, Tennessee Williams, but not El Teatro Campesino, Cherry Moraga, Teata. I started to understand that when stories were universal, that didn't include me. History books, textbooks, literature, theater, film, magazine covers, these are all stories we are told that we internalize, that create meaning in our lives and in our bodies. To tell your story and to hear your story being told is to affirm your humanity, to exclaim, I exist, I matter, my story matters. Stories help us experience our shared humanity. They help us empathize with another human being. Stories play a role in the entrenched relationships of power and privilege that define the status quo. My story was being hidden, stored away with the cleaning supplies or exoticized alongside my long brown hair and prevalent curves. See, some stories are never told. Some truths are buried, hidden. Instead, we are scarred by the narratives which are forced on us, choking on our insecurities, wading through muddy layers of labels and stereotypes and dreams and expectations, fighting back against our invisibility. So I decided to write a new story. A story about identity and the effects of socialization, how the messages in society affect how the world sees us, how we see ourselves, how we feel about ourselves. And in dealing with my pain, I found power. Who I am outside of all of these expectations, forced assimilations, colonization. I found power in my great-great-abuela. I don't even know her name. She was omitted from the birth certificates because she was Yaqui, India. She did not deserve to be remembered. Her story did not deserve to be told. She was erased from the history books, like so many others. Something called me to her, a need to tell this story, my story of being India, of being indigena. My journey began 6 years ago with a panic attack at a mercado, and it has brought me to an incredible group of women of color, each with their own story. In our stories, we find intersections. In each other, we find reflections, but also challenges, conflicts, so much more pain, and so much more joy, so much more power in collective. Together, we wrote Where Earth Meets the Sky, an indigenous futurism theatrical performance. Each of us finds pieces of ourselves in the story we have created, but for me, the story is important because it explores the indigenous roots of the Latino diaspora, because these questions matter. The national conversation around immigration has to change. Our people have been here for thousands of years, moving freely before there was a border, yet we are called aliens, immigrants, outsiders, given names like Hispanic, Latino, anything to make us forget we are indigenous to this land, anything to keep us colonized. That's why we chose the sci-fi genre, because these questions matter to how we move forward, because for Black and brown bodies to imagine the future is revolutionary. Where Earth Meets the Sky explores indigenous resistance, ancestral knowledge, white privilege, racism, sexism, and belonging. But I think more importantly, it creates space for women of color to imagine the future in community, in collective, to heal. We need to heal. Our bodies need to heal. Our hearts need to heal. My hope is that we can begin to fill the world with new stories, new possibilities, new ways of remembering our past, and new ways of imagining our future. Because when we imagine our future, we have to question the present. We have to look deep within this moment of panic. And that is revolutionary. Revolution, a complete shift of power. I am India, and that is not an insult. Thank you.